2 here. What I wanted to talk about next was utilizing an image. Question, before I go further, questions? All right, so what I want to do is talk about how to use an image as a texture and as a bump channel, and this is how we'll do that. So under color, what I'll do is I'll locate an image that has both a color version. We can use this grass, I guess. That's pretty good. So notice how this image also has a twin that's black and white. Okay. Whenever you're using textures, it's much better if you have a black and white image, especially because you can control the contrast and you can really bump up some of the surface qualities of that. So with this image, what someone has done is obviously just taken a photograph of some grass and then brought it into Photoshop, changed it into black and white, bumped up the contrast to make it more, the surface more apparent. So when we apply this to an object, we can apply that color just like we normally would, and we can also apply that same one to the bump channel. All right. So what I'll do is I'll locate that other surface. Where was that? There it is. And apply the black and white one to the bump. All right. And I'll bring this up a little bit. So let's just see the before and after. Actually, we'll take this. Also, at any time, if you want to delete a texture from an object, just click on it in the Objects Manager. Just delete it. Okay. And then you can go back and drag the other one onto the surface. So now this one is, in view with without the bump channel. All right, so this is what the grass would look like without the bump channel. And then if we wanted to give it that a little bit more depth, we could add the bump channel to it, bring the strength up a little bit. Now again, the bump, I've used that black and white image. All right, and now you can see that there's a little bit more of that surface depth to it. That's probably a little bit too strong. You can get a little bit crazy with the bump surface, the strength. That looks a little bit better. So now you see that there's a little bit of depth and dimension in between those lines from the texture that's created. The other thing is, you don't necessarily have to match up one to the next. So I could just I could get rid of this color and just have the surface be apparent. And now I just have that that image as a surface texture as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can use those things in combination. The surface, the image, the bump channel to create some highly dimensional objects. All right, let's talk about some presets because I think it's important that we can. Oh wait, before we talk about presets, I also wanted to introduce selectively adding color to an object. All right, I think that's going to be important for many of you working with different types of objects. So let's just go back to that sort of grass color. All right, there we go. All right, so here's our object, and we have the bump channel running all the way across. Now what happens if we have an object that we want to, let's say we want to select a group of polygons and just add the color to that individual group. What we can do is make this object editable, grab our polygons tool. I'm just going to select a few of these polygons here. We could actually take a different texture, like this one, and drag it onto the area. All right, so I'm just going to drag it onto the object. Notice what happens in the Object Manager. We get the color that's in view. All right, the hierarchy here is whatever's closest to the name is going to be the dominant one. Anything beyond that is going to be the child of those areas. So that what also happens is there's a little tag here. This is called a polygon selection tag, and it notifies the material that only that area is going to be selected by that color. So when we render this out, you notice that we have the grass texture, and then where that polygon was selected, we have the other color that's applied to it. And notice also there's two different bump channels and surfaces working. All right, so it affects the overall quality of that surface. So some of you have some detailed objects that you could actually select certain polygons and apply those colors to, and that would be a good way of modeling those different surfaces. Okay, so there's a great way that you can control those qualities. All right, now lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about some presets. And the presets are really helpful to use. There's many presets in Cinema 4D. If you click on this little global icon right here, this is called the content browser. And if you click on this, you'll get a menu that pops up. It'll probably look like this first. Click on Presets, go down to Cinema 4D, and then we see there's a Materials folder. And the Materials folder is full of set objects. You notice, so you take a look at these things, there are all kinds of different objects. Glass objects, here's some wood. The body shader is actually like, here's a heart, or I don't know, muscle. Okay, so there's all kinds of different stuff there in the body shader. So you can go through these things. The one thing I wanted to point out about these is they're a great way to learn about materials too. If you double click it, it's going to show up in the Materials Manager, and if we double click that, we can see what's been happened here. So we have gradients have been selected, we have transparency, we have roughness, we have all these different things that are applied to it, and we can really control and change and manipulate those different things. So for example, if I wanted to change the color here, I could just double click on this and make it pink instead of that color, and that would change that. Alright? So you can start out with these presets and you can manipulate them to whatever you're liking. Alright, and the same thing is true here. We can just apply that to a surface and then view it, and we'll get those different qualities to come through. What I suggest doing is, this is one that I've done. I just took 9 different spheres and I went into all the presets and I just grabbed them and selected them and applied them to the objects and rendered this out. And you can see there's a whole variety of different types of objects that you can create. So we have some of them that are sort of glowing, that have luminous. We have some that are image-based. We have some that are transparent, some that are rough and bumpy. There's all kinds of different types of materials that you can really play with those presets. So I encourage you, when you're experimenting with your objects and colorizing them and adding textures, try experimenting with some of these presets and manipulate them further by going in and adjusting the levels and different things in that sort of manner.